Okay, welcome everyone. My name is Dan. This is the Tibetan Buddhism class, Shamatha week. So, is anyone here in the temple for the first time? Anyone new to Shamatha meditation? Okay. Wow, okay, good. All of you. So this is a good week to start because we're starting a new series on stages of meditation in Mahamudra tradition. So just start today and stick with this class every 2 weeks for 3 or 4 months, and you'll have a great intro to Shamatha. For those of you joining through YouTube, welcome. You can type in your questions at any time. I'll get to them after each meditation. And I brought special glasses today so I can see the fine print here in the comment section. And won't be misreading your questions. So, as I mentioned today, we're starting a new book. We just finished up 3 meditations in the Bön tradition. So now we're getting into the Kagyu tradition, Mahamudra. It doesn't make a huge difference which school of Tibetan Buddhism it is when it comes to the Shamatha meditations, but there are subtle variations, and so it'll be fun to go through a different presentation. So as I said, Mahamudra is associated with the Kagyu tradition. It's one of the 4 major schools of modern Tibetan Buddhism. And in a future class, it's really interesting how they do their oral lineage, their transmission, and relate it to reincarnation and everything. I might go over that in a future class, but I'm not sure how long it's going to take to get through everything we have to get through today. The first technique, so the book starts out with 3 contemplation meditations. There's actually quite a bit of preliminaries before you even get to that. Taking refuge, developing bodhicitta, 4 thoughts that turn the mind. They're a little more on the religious side, and this is a shamatha meditation class, so we're not going to go through those. But there's 3 meditations that I want to go through that he calls them contemplation. One for body, one for speech, one for mind. The idea is if you're a new monk or a new meditator, you may think, because with shamatha, it's all about placing your attention on something, not thinking about something. So in the early stages of a meditator might not be able to separate their thoughts from their attention. So these preliminary exercises are designed to help you through that. But even if you can already do that, there's a lot of benefits to these practices. So I decided to include them in the series. The first technique is settling the body. In the book, he calls it body isolation. It's not, you may have heard the term body isolation in terms of highest yoga tantra. It's not that. This is an introductory practice. So it's basically going over the 7-point Vajrayana posture. And then the technique is very simple. You just rest in this meditation posture until energy currents and things start to slow down. So the idea is that you have all this internal chaotic energy. You rest in this posture until you can actually start to see. And of course, you'd be doing it not for an hour, but for days and days, weeks and weeks, day after day, week after week, until you could actually see these energy currents clearly in your body. So is everyone here familiar with what a snow globe is? I don't want to assume. Okay. No, you don't. Not familiar? It's they sell them a lot of times at
literally like a snow globe.
Snow globe, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was a concept.
No. They get in your gift shop, you turn them upside down, and then the snow falls. So if you shake up a snow globe and set it down, what happens? There you go. Yeah. It swirls and it's a blizzard, and it takes it's not like it just starts snowing. So it's the same thing. When you set, and you guys are probably all different, levels of experience in meditation. So maybe when you get into posture, it'll, the energy channels will just align. But depending on how new you are in meditation and how much is going on, it could just be chaos. But what we're going to do, so we're going to, I'll get to how we're going to do it in a minute. Just to go in the order of my notes here. So the benefits of this body settling, with your body settled, it's it's better, you can more easily focus inwardly for meditation, since you're not as distracted by the chaos of the snow globe. And then being able to perceive the body as manifestations of energy currents. And if it seems strange, you could actually argue that the body is literally made up of energy currents. But remember that your experience of the body is based on your nervous system. And so at least it should be feasible for you guys to connect with the idea that at least your perception of your body is based on energy in your nervous system and not on your actual physical body. And then the third benefit is it calms the intensity of the 5 poisons. So we went over these last week. In the Tibetan system, the poisons are anger, pride, greed, envy, and ignorance. So it's not going to eliminate them, and it'll just calm them so they're not as distracting while you're meditating. And then, of course, as soon as you get back up off the cushion, they'll probably come rushing back. So there's 2 parts of today's practice. One, we're going to go through this posture we're going to break it down so you guys get into a perfect 7-point posture. And then we're going to let the body settle and connect to what's going on in the body, even though it's going to be possibly very chaotic. So on the mindfulness of the body part, I wanted to read to you the 3rd verse. And I don't know, did I give you guys the title of the book? I don't think I did. So the book we're going to be going over is Pointing Out the Great Way, The Stages of Meditation in the Mahamudra Tradition by Daniel P. Brown. The book I'm about to quote from is, because I really like it's the Anapanasati Sutra. I really love this translation. It's in Mindfulness with Breathing, a Manual for Serious Beginners by Buddhadasa Bhikkhu, translated by Santikara Bhikkhu. So it's Thai Buddhism. It's not a Tibetan Buddhist book, but I really love the translation in here. So the 3rd verse of the first tetrad is, he trains himself, thoroughly experiencing all bodies, I shall breathe in. Thoroughly experiencing all bodies, I shall breathe out. A lot of other translations say experiencing the whole body, experiencing the entire body. I like how he says bodies because it guides us to look at the body in terms of its parts and not try to see the whole body as the whole body. So for example, if you've ever done like a yoga class and they tell you to relax, and maybe the instructor just says, relax your body, and you do your best job at relaxing your body and you feel pretty relaxed. Then they go through and they start saying, okay, relax your forehead, relax your ears, relax your jaw, relax your cheeks, and you get like a whole other level of relaxation as you go by piece by piece. It's the same thing with mindfulness. If someone says, be mindful of your whole body, and you're trying to do a good job and you think you're doing a pretty good job of being mindful of your whole body, and then they go through and, like with the body scan and say, be mindful of what's going on in your head and your forehead, the same body parts, and you connect at a deeper level. So with our mindfulness of the body today, we're going to be mindful of our body in parts as we settle the body in our meditation posture. Okay, yeah. So the parts, though, that we're going to be looking at are the 5 lung in Tibetan Buddhism. So these are basically the energy currents, and it's similar to the concept of prana or chi, but these energy currents are called lung, and then prana is actually one of the 5 lung. But then prana is also said to, it's kind of confusing because prana is one term for all 5 lung, but then prana also appears as one of the 5 lung. But the idea is these are the 5 types of energy currents that make up our body or make up our nervous system, however you want to look at it. And each point of the posture that we're going to be learning corresponds to one of these energy currents. So we'll be kind of learning them together and building them up together. And of course, since these energy currents are going to be in kind of a blizzard, don't expect to be able to, connect to them clearly. But we're going to do some exercises to hopefully help you connect to them a little bit. And then when you meditate, you can always You can always do it in parts by arms and legs and head, or you can do it in parts by different loom and being aware of those different parts of your nervous system. So we're going to get started. So the first of the 7-point, is anyone familiar with the 7-point Vajrayana posture? Has anyone heard that before? Okay. A little bit, yeah. Every book I've read in Tibetan Buddhism, it's always 7-point Vajrayana, 7-point Vajrayana. I haven't seen, there are other postures, but this in other schools of Buddhism, but in Tibetan Buddhism, I've only ever seen this one. So the first point is legs crossed. So in a chair, that's difficult. And I don't know if like when I come to a class like this too, like I understand if you want to sit in a chair, because you got to be able to sit up here for an hour. Okay, cool. We got some people moving up. Okay, I was gonna say even if you're not wanting to come up and sit up in the front, to try this at home, but I don't have to encourage you guys to try it at home because you all moved up. That's fantastic. Okay, so of course, what they want you to do is, now let's see how many of you can do this, because I certainly can't, is do the whole, full lotus with 1 foot up here and 1 foot up here. And please don't try if you don't know how, because you'll either fail or you'll hurt yourself. But even to sit in this kind of posture, I definitely have a lot of resistance to getting into meditation posture. Like when I started meditating, I do a lot with, laying in bed, propped up on cushions. I'd want to lounge and meditate. And the more I get into this kind of posture, just sitting in a cross-legged position, and again, since you're all up here, I don't have to say, try it, and because I can't explain what the difference is. I think it's just something you have to try both ways. Of course, it's better to sit in a chair and meditate than not meditate. It's better to lay in bed and meditate than not meditate. But I always find it beneficial to get into this kind of posture, even though I still have resistance to it. But it's the difference, it's the benefit that keeps me getting into posture like this. So I don't have to give you any tips on sitting in a chair. So this posture point benefits what's called the downward clearing loom, which clears bad energy, usually related to digestive waste. So we have to be careful in how we connect to this one. So what we're going to do to try to connect to this is, I won't talk us through it because I might take too long to talk. So I'll explain it and then we'll do it. We're going to breathe in, inhale, and fill our lungs with air. And now 2 things are going to happen. One, you're going to, at a certain point, you're going to be missing oxygen and you're going to want to breathe again. And don't do this to the point you pass out. The other thing that I want you to try to connect to is this feeling of stale air in your lungs. That the air is full of oxygen when you start. And as your lungs process it, more and more carbon dioxide, more and more. So you actually have like pollution basically in your lungs. So when you exhale, even though there'll be 2 things that you're going to want relief from. You're going to want relief from lack of oxygen, and you're going to want relief from this carbon dioxide in your lungs. So when you exhale, I want you to try to feel that relief, even though you haven't taken another breath yet. So you haven't satisfied that first one. As soon as you exhale, I want you to feel the relief of just getting that bad air out. And that's how we're going to try to connect to the downward clearing lung, because this is what gets all the bad energy out of our system. So let's go ahead and do it. Just take a deep breath in, and then when you're ready, has everyone exhaled? Okay, good. Okay, so was anyone able to connect to that feeling? Okay.
Are you supposed to hold it, or are you just supposed to focus on the relief on the exhale?
Just the relief on the exhale. Yeah. I mean, holding it before you exhale is good.
Yeah.
But not holding at the end of the exhale.
No. As soon as you get the air out, you're good. You're good. Yeah. Thanks for helping me clarify. So we're going to go through another one and then practice them together. So the next posture point, and it's actually 2 posture points, is spine straight. That one's kind of obvious. I don't know of any meditation postures that they don't want your spine straight. And then I like to call this open heart. They call it like vulture wings or bird wings in the Tibetan texts. But the idea is just your chest. So this is the opposite of it. Your chest is lifted a little bit and your arms are back a little bit. So that, I kind of feel that like that's like an open heart. But it would be great if open heart was related in any way to the heart, but it's not. So with the spine straight and open heart, that's related to what's called the fire-like loom. Has anyone heard of Tumo? Yeah. It's, huh?
Like
Wim Hof, yeah. Yeah, I don't know if Wim Hof bases his stuff on Tibetan, but he might. Because in Tibetan practice, the Tumo practice, they generate fire in this fire-like wind. And supposedly they throw like cold sheets over them and they just like burn, like the sheets start to like fume and they just burn, they just dry the sheets with their body heat. But this lung is not for drying sheets. It's our digestive wind. So it's digestive energy in the belly. So of course, both of these being digestive, they're a little harder to connect to. But what we're going to do, so the posture point of the spine straight, open heart benefits digestion, temperature regulation, nutrition, and healing, and it's related to the navel chakra right about here. So what we're going to do to connect to this one is if you want, you can imagine like a campfire in your belly. We're just going to take a really deep breath in, really deep, expand your lower abdomen as much as possible, and then hold it, and then engage your core muscles just a little bit to build, so you can tense up your muscles without squeezing them in. So just tense up your core muscles a little bit and try to connect to energy, fire, anything like that. And as I said, you can imagine a campfire in your belly if that helps you connect to that warmth or any kind of energy in that area. So you guys can go ahead on your own pace and just take one deep breath. All right, we all good? Okay. Anyone able to connect to that? I feel like this is the hardest one to connect to. A little bit. Yeah. We'll have a chance to practice though a little bit. So we're going to do a meditation. Basically, we're running behind on time, so I might just go straight to the meditation without practicing it. But basically, on the inhale, same thing we just did, inhale and hold. Most important thing is to focus on your posture. Make sure that those posture points, legs crossed, spine straight, open heart, keep that. And then focusing on those two lung, sorry. It's funny how similar the words are. It's actually R-L-U-N-G, so it's just like our lungs. The R is silent. And then on the exhale, visual, because since you're holding your air in, when you exhale, visualizing that, getting that bad air out as like a dark smoke. What you can do, it's downward clearing. So you can either do just out of your nostrils, just downward black smoke, or if you really want to connect better with that lung. We did a meditation once where we imagined the central channel going down our body, and then we exhaled out the chimney. This time, do it like it's exhaust. Imagine your energy going down and out the base of your seat. But if that's uncomfortable or too strange for you, you can just do out the nostrils. So let's go ahead and get started. At 3 minutes, we're going to do 6-minute meditation. At 3 minutes, I'm going to flag you guys if you want to take a break. Just the holding the posture and this kind of breath work can be a little tedious. So I'll just announce the break. And what I mean by break is you just get out of your posture for a second, move around a little bit, breathe normally for maybe 5 to 10 seconds. I won't tell you guys when the break is over, but I'll just let you know when it's 3 minutes so you can break if you want, and then get back into your posture on your own. Okay, so, yeah.
So breathe in, hold it as long as you can.
Not as long as you can.
All right, okay,
But-
or until you really start to feel that.
Yeah, just hold your breath in.
And then do you want us to kind of isometrically contract the core?
If you want, yeah. If you're comfortable with that.
Sure.
And it's also a lot to remember. So the most important thing is the posture. And then if you can continue to do the things to connect to the loom, then that's even better. So we'll get started. Another thing they do in Tibetan meditation, on the exhale, you can give it a little more energy and speed at the end of the exhale to just kind of get more of the air out. So we're at 3 minutes if you want to take a quick break. If not, or either way, check in with your posture and make sure spine is straight and that your chest is lifted and your arms are back. Okay, you can relax your posture, move around a bit, blink your eyes a couple times. Any questions or comments or anything?
Yeah, I guess I have a bad back. My back is, whenever I try this posture, it's,
Yeah, you need to move back to a chair?
I mean, I'd like to
Okay,
start doing it this way to get
Okay.
used to it.
Okay.
But,
Yeah.
yeah, I feel like all my awareness just goes to the pain in my back whenever I get this posture.
Yeah. I'm right. I mean, I know exactly how that feels because that's when I first started doing this posture too. That's what always limited me was your back starts to hurt.
And after some time, if I'm not present, I notice my spine kind of arching, and I have to bring it back.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it's probably a good habit to get into, but it's difficult.
Yeah, it is. It is. Yeah, it does get better. Yeah, the back pain goes away after. And it doesn't mean you have a bad back. At least in my experience, I'm not a chiropractor, but I think it happens to everyone. And I think it's your back muscles just getting you're building your back muscles and they're getting sore. But I don't think it's an indication that you have a bad back. I don't think there's an indication that there's anything wrong. It's just until you get used to it, it's going to hurt. In this posture, I'm doing my feet still fall asleep, but yeah, it's just one of those things you got to power through. One thing I was curious though is, was anyone frequently distracted by their thoughts? Okay. Because I'm not good at breath practice, so for me, it takes a lot of my mental effort to like coordinate everything and do it all right. And one thing I like about these more elaborate practices where you have, because if we're just sitting in posture, I know my mind would be going all over the place. But when you have more to think about, more to do, and more steps to follow, it's nice that, at least for me, I don't get distracted. Okay, so I'm gonna kind of keep this moving. We got a lot to cover. So the next one's easy, hand posture. So this book's very adamant, left hand under right, and I'm doing this because you can't see what I'm doing. You're not supposed to be up this high. The bottoms of your hand are supposed to be 4-finger widths below your navel on your lap, and then it's just hand over palm, and then thumbs together. So yeah, you guys are, yeah. You can put your thumbs together if you want. Yeah.
Can I rest them on my belt or pants or?
Yeah, you can rest it on your lap.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So this benefits the upward moving loom, which is associated with speech, sensory organs, basically the organs in your head. This one's easy for me to connect to because this is basically the energy that powers your brain, your head, your eyes, your ears. This is actually related to both the throat chakra and the crown chakra. And it helps to equalize and balance the mind to stay in this posture point. So go ahead, and you guys are already into that. So just keep all 4 of these posture points if you can. And to get into this, what we're going to do now is the reverse. We're going to exhale and hold your air out. And at some point you should feel kind of a brain fog, like your brain is going, I need air, I need air, I need air. So that's not what we're trying to connect to. That's just creating the contrast. So then when you breathe in and you feel that energy, that freshness, I experience it as like a cool rush of air, a rush of coolness into your head. That's that upward moving loom that we're trying to connect to. So you guys can all do that on your own pace. Just exhale, hold the breath out until you feel like you need air, and then let it in. Big breath in.
Be trying to expand the lungs or like the stomach?
What I like to do with this one, and I was going to get to this in the next one, but in the next part, but exhale until all the air's out of your stomach, so that when you release it, the first part of the breath is almost automatic. Like, the air is just rushing back into your lungs. And then in Tibetan Buddhism, they use a lot, it's called a double inhale. So you do that and inhale a little bit, and then you inhale again with your upper chest rising like that. And that's the part that I feel really helps connect with the upward moving lung, because the first breath, you'll get kind of the relief when I lift my chest and feel that extra air come in. Then that's, for me, it connects even better to the upward moving loom. So you can do that if you want, or you don't have to necessarily empty your, but I do recommend the double breath, and then
When you're doing the complete exhale, do you also do then the contraction of the the muscles there, or?
Then it's not a tensing of the muscles. It's actually, yeah, you're actually pushing all the air out of your body,
Right.
so that when you let your diaphragm expand again, it automatically brings air in.
So you're not like pushing the abs to the spine or any of that with the exhale.
It doesn't have to be that extreme. Yeah, just enough to empty the lungs.
Sure. Thanks.
Maybe everyone raise your hand when you're done, because I don't want to interrupt your breath holding. Okay, so has everyone got a breath in? Okay, cool. I figured either you guys would be done or pretty soon people would start falling over. So we're going to go right into our next meditation. So this is just connecting to that. So the breath pattern is really just exhale everything out, hold out, and then let that first breath come in, and then raising the chest for the second breath, the second part of the breath, and feeling just that cool energy rising into your brain and your sense organs, relieving that dullness. And we'll do this for another quick 6 minutes. And then again, the most important thing is that now you master the 4 points of the 7-point posture. The last 3 are easy. So. And of course, the longer you hold the out breath, the more contrast you'll have on the in breath. It's 3 minutes if you want to take a break. Either way, check in your posture, check in with your posture. The one you'll probably mess up the most is that, at least for me, the arms and lifted chest can tend to slouch over time. Okay, you'll come back to a normal sitting posture. Maybe take a moment to reflect on your experience. Yeah. Yeah.
Do we all? I notice I can like seal off my lungs with like something in my throat versus like leaving that open, just like keeping my core constricted to exhale.
Mhm.
Is there what are we supposed to use? Because when I'm using my core, I start to kind of shake.
For exhale, I just lower my chest and just gently kind of squeeze in my, yeah. If you're shaking, maybe you're applying too much pressure.
Okay.
But the more you empty your lungs, the more contrast you get. And then were you able to empty your lungs to the point where then if you just relax, they started to kind of fill up again? Or?
Yes. Although do we hold the exhale, like exhale and like hold that as long as we can, or?
Yeah. On the exhale, you don't have to, but the longer you hold the air out, the more your brain's like, I need oxygen, I need oxygen, I need oxygen. So then when you let the air back in, it's just more contrast that now you feel more of that energy coming in. But you don't have to hold your breath out at all, and you can still feel the energy coming, rising up into your brain. So was anyone not able to connect to the upward moving one? I feel like this is my favorite one. I feel like it's the easiest to connect to. I feel like it's the better breath practice. I could have done that for much longer and been happy. The first one I was having to like concentrate too much and like too many moving parts. But I just feel like it's an enjoying feeling, that cool energy rising up. Yeah, Anna.
My experience was opposite, actually.
You enjoyed the first one more?
The first one, it felt like I was, trying to pat my head and rub my stomach at the same time, and for whatever, this one was easier. But
No, that's what I was saying.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
I prefer this one because it's easier, and it's.
No, this one is harder for me.
Oh, this one you felt
Yeah,
like it
this
was.
one is hard
Oh,
for
okay,
me, for
okay,
sure, yeah.
okay. Interesting.
And the sensations are also different. Like with the first one, with it going down and out.
Yeah,
It felt
yeah.
like almost like steam
yeah, yeah.
coming out. And with this one that we just did, at first, I don't know, my brain was freaking out way more with this one than it was the first
Okay.
one. So I couldn't hold the breath as long. At least
Was your brain freaking out with the exhale, not having any
yeah.
oxygen? Okay.
Yeah, more
Okay.
so than having a full,
Okay.
you know, but,
Yeah. Maybe for me, it's just about the relief of when you bring it in. It's like,
maybe, I don't know,
ah.
because at the end, when I finally got to the rhythm of it, it felt like the ocean
Mhm.
coming in.
So not necessarily in a good way, like too much.
At first, it felt like lightning, and then it softened into the ocean. So ocean's
Is
better.
ocean's good?
Ocean's
Okay.
good.
Lightning bad.
Bad, lightning bad. Yes.
Okay. Anything else before we? Okay. Thanks for sharing. And then let me check
That's
YouTube.
left under right?
Yeah. So I've heard different things. A long time ago in Tibet, they used to have this thing where females, everything was backwards for them, like channels and everything, and they've moved away from that, fortunately. But it's interesting. So there used to be a thing where it was different, and then I've also heard if you're left-handed, it should be one way if you're right-handed. But this particular book is adamant: left hand on the bottom, right hand on top. The other way is more comfortable for me, but I've been doing it the other way since I started reading this, and I've actually been kind of getting into it. So, anything else? Okay. Last 3 points. So the next point is two at once. So once you're in this full meditation posture, open heart, bird wings, whatever you want to call it. For me, it's really easy because if I start moving my head down a little bit, I feel my chin naturally you start tilting your head down, and it feels like just with a slight tilt, it feels like your head is kind of resting on your neck. Hopefully everyone can kind of connect to that. If it doesn't rest naturally, then it's just a slight tilt of the head. And that's supposed to help control thoughts and inner chatter. And then the second has to do with like the mouth and jaw and tongue. It says relax your teeth and lips. I assume they mean relax your jaw and lips. I don't know how to relax my teeth. So relax your jaw, relax your lips, and then the book is very adamant on this one too. Tip of the tongue to the roof of the mouth, kind of behind the teeth. And that's it for this point. That connects to something called the pervasive loon, which isn't associated with the chakra. This is basically like your whole body muscular system loon. So it lets you move your limbs and kick your feet and all of that. So it's associated with muscles, joints, skin, and movement of the limbs. And then the final one is the gaze. And for that, some meditations, obviously you want to have your eyes closed, but like if you're using your imagination, and we'll get to some of those. But the standard in this book is you want your eyes slightly open. And then there's 3 things you can be looking at, but the idea basically is that you don't want to be looking at anything. You can gaze at the tip of your nose is one of the ways to do it, depending on the size of your nose. Maybe you can see it, maybe you can't. Another way to do it is to imagine a point in space. This kind of thing reminds me of when you're trying to look at those 3D posters and make them. So one thing you can do is try to look at a point in space, like a few feet in front of you, and then making that your focus. Everything else is unfocused. Or you can just look out with no particular focus on anything in particular. So the goal is basically you're just letting in some light, you're opening up your awareness a little bit without being distracted by any of the objects around you. And that's related with the life force energy, which is, again, getting back to that prana. I find this one a little bit abstract and hard to understand, but they say it's related to your heart energy, confidence, success. So it's that life force energy that keeps your heart beating and your life ticking on. And one thing I read a long time ago from Swami Vivekananda, who's not Buddhist, but he said prana isn't about the breath, it's about the movement that allows the breath to come in and out. So we'll be connecting through that idea. So go ahead and get into the complete 7-point posture now that you have the whole formula. But for this part of the practice, mostly focus on making sure your chin is tilted, jaws relaxed, lips are relaxed, tongue is at the tip of the tongue, at the roof of the mouth, and the eye gaze, as I've already explained it. So to connect to the pervasive lung, what we're going to do is holding still with effort. So try to be as still as possible, engaging muscles as needed to hold still. For this, imagine that you're wearing a hat with wind chimes on it. There's no wind, so as long as you're perfectly still, these chimes aren't going to make any noise. But if your head moves just a little bit, ding, 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 and you want to keep these chimes silent. So, because if you can keep your head still, you're pretty much keeping your body still. Any little movement in your body is going to move your head. Then to connect to the life force, we're going to let our breathing be automatic. This one can be a little tricky because you might wonder, am I controlling it? Am I not controlling it? For me, when I'm letting my breathing be automatic, I notice that the in-breath, the flow of the in-breath, and then the immediate out-breath is what happens for me when I'm breathing automatically. That's very easy, but then it's almost like I'm on a ventilator machine or something. Like, then my breath will stop, and I get a little nervous, like, is it going to come back? So then after a little pause, another breath will kind of flow in. So surprised by that in-breath, then you're probably not controlling it. But if you're not sure whether you're controlling it or not, just do your best. And that's all we're going to do for this one. So if everyone's ready, if no questions. And again, make sure you got the head tilt, mouth points, and the eyes half open. I find that kind of hard to maintain, but gaze at the tip of your nose, just unfocused. Got 3 minutes if you want to take a quick break. Also check in with your posture. Go ahead and open your eyes fully. Stretch out, look around a little bit. Good job, everyone. How many people think that they might have a chance of remembering the 7-point posture at this point? Good. How many people think they memorized all 5 Lung? Good. Good. Important thing, my goal tonight was to get you all to learn and remember the 7-point vibrational posture. So looks like most of you are good there. And I also felt like that was more interesting than if we had just been sitting in 7-point posture the whole time, waiting for our Lung to come into clarity. And in the future, after you guys have done this for hours and hours and hours and days on end, and you start to notice your Lung naturally, as the book claims. I haven't had this experience, but you'll go, oh yeah, that's the upper moving. Oh, I see, that's the fire-like. Who knows? Maybe it'll trigger these memories. So that's all I have. Is there any questions, comments? Yeah.
So when it comes to when you first started this, you mentioned that some people would practice this for days, weeks, or even months on end. Or
yeah, I mean, if you're a monk and you're going into Mahamudra, it doesn't say in the book how long the monks practice this, but it indicates that they do it for a fairly long time.
Okay.
Until because I would think, and it would also depend on, if you're a Tibetan and you're young and you've been raised pretty mellow, maybe you don't have as chaotic of a mind as we do in the West. I know if I were to sit down and do this and expect my energies to come into alignment, I might be waiting for quite a long time. But then I'm 51. I've done I've been a non-Buddhist and software engineer and like, very, very heavy mind oriented my whole life. So I imagine in that scenario, it takes a lot longer for things to calm down.
So would they generally practice in a place that has like cars driving by and like noises, or are they typically in a pretty quiet?
I don't know. I don't know. It's certainly helpful, if it's quiet, but they have their own noises. Because I remember reading a story about someone who went to he's complaining about the noise or something, and he went to some meditation retreat thinking he'd be free from noise, and it's birds, and they have their own noises. There's noises anywhere you go. Some cuckoo bird or something lands on a tree outside of your little hut and starts singing mating calls, and next thing you're like, I went this far to get away from all the noise. So yeah, you'll never be free of noise.
Joseph Goldstein talked about going to a place and they were doing construction right outside.
Yeah, meditation retreat. Yeah, we do this. We meet in this class every other week. So a month ago, 4 weeks ago, we did something called Finding Inner Refuge in the Silence of Speech, where we learned how to, and you can look it up on the Dharmabumtemple YouTube page. But basically what we're learning to do there is to connect to silence that's present regardless of the amount of noise. It was actually a good night to do it too, because there was baby crying and there was just all kinds of noise that night. So it was perfect.
Out of curiosity, speaking about the back, I had back surgery.
Mm-hmm.
And what, in terms of if you do it in the chair, what is your recommendation?
Oh yeah. A lot of people say flat feet, but what I've noticed depends on the height of the chair. My legs are maybe a little bit longer, so if my knees are up, I'll actually hook my legs back to lower my knees. And then the only other one that I saw was Tenzin Wangyal Rinpoche, who wrote the book for the series we did for the last three times. He recommends crossing your feet, which I've never heard before, but just to get that kind of crossed leg energy when you're sitting in a chair. So just crossing like that. Yeah. Either that or with your feet flat or with your feet. Because if that makes your knees too high, then you can slide your feet back that way, and it lowers your knees. See?
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel the spine.
Feels good. Yeah, good.
You want to sit all the way in the back of the chair?
No, usually you want your spine straight up. So pretend the chair doesn't have a back.
Okay.
But if your back is sore, you can always lean back and take a give your back a little break.
And what does it mean by like straight back? Because isn't there a bit of like a bend in like the spine?
Yeah. So I've heard naturally straight, meaning you don't have to eliminate the natural bend in your back. And I've heard like a string is pulling you up. I've also
like your tailbone and the top of your head, a string gently.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything about the tailbone, but just the string on the top of the head. I have seen some instruction that say no, every vertebrae should be like one coin stacked on top of another, and just be like. But so there's different. What I've heard most of the time is just naturally straight, but this is correct. This is incorrect. This is incorrect. This is incorrect. This is incorrect. But no, you don't have to unnaturally straighten your vertebrae. Cool. Okay. All right, so I'm going to bring up before I bring up Anna, let's do transfer of merit. So, palms. And may any merit gained from this practice benefit all the living beings without exception. And may we all be freed from endless wandering through illusion. All right. Anna has a few announcements, and then you guys can all go.
Regular announcements, guys. I'm Anna, tonight's host. We opened the Dharmabumtemple about 18 years ago to introduce Buddhist practice to those who wanted to show up. Those who leave, they're not nuns or monks, gurus, masters, or teachers, and they're not looking for students. They're simply practitioners sharing their interpretation of the practice like teachers did. Every night, we have different classes led by different people from various Buddhist traditions. There's a recovery song guide that meets several nights a week for anyone with addiction issues. There's also the food redistribution program. I think I'm saying that word right. Every Thursday at 4:30. There's also a lot of stuff going on with Thanksgiving this month. So if you guys want to look at the things that are up there, that's where all the schedules are. The schedule is also on the website. There's also the lending library. If you see a book you like, feel free to borrow it and bring it back when you're done. And if you have any to donate, there's a box in there as well. If you guys could just straighten your cushions or seats as you head out, and if anybody could help me close the couple of windows that are open still, that'd be awesome. Thank you so much for being here, guys. Hope to see you all again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
You're on the clear ship, thank you.
Thank you.